So you're thinking of moving to Toronto? Well, what's nice is you have so much choice with over 140 unique neighborhoods, each with their own distinct sound and vibe. Sometimes it's kind of hard to pick where to actually move. In this video, we're going to dive in the most popular neighborhoods in Toronto. Be sure to stick around till the end of the video because we're going to touch on one neighborhood which was ranked by Vogue magazine as the #2 coolest neighborhood in the entire world. This is your top 7 most popular neighborhoods in Toronto. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Philip Cotlier and I've been a full-time real estate agent in the city of Toronto for the last 12 years, helping buyers and sellers navigate the complicated market here. Now this channel is all about moving to Toronto and living in Toronto. And if you're planning a move, you'll need an experienced broker in your corner. That's where me and my team come in. We specialize in helping people relocate to the city of Toronto. So if that's you, if you're planning a move in 8 days or 80 days, if it's just across town, across the country, or across the world, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you make your move everything you want it to be. You may already know that the city of Toronto is huge and very sprawled out. And the best way to get to know it is to jump in my computer, take a look at my Google Maps, and I'm going to guide you around the city and show you where each of these neighborhoods is located. But if you actually want to see what the real estate and the shops and the lifestyle of each neighborhood is, we've created companion vlog tours for almost every neighborhood we're going to be featuring here, and I'll point them out throughout the video as they're featured. Here we are in my computer, and you can see a map of the city of Toronto and the greater Toronto area, which spreads throughout the downtown core, which is somewhere around here. And then you can see the sprawled out GTA, which encompasses several other cities northeast and west of the downtown core. For the purposes of this video, just to keep it manageable, we're going to focus on Toronto proper, which is outlined here with this red line. So we're going to focus on 7 neighborhoods within Toronto proper and show you the best places potentially to move. So the first one I'm going to start with is on the east side of town. If you're moving to Toronto with a family, this neighborhood is a great fit for you because it's a really family-friendly neighborhood, great schools, very safe, lots of great parks as well. And the neighborhood that I'm referring to is known as Riverdale. Now Riverdale spans from Danforth Avenue in the north, right over here. It cuts across down Coxwell over here, all the way to Queen Street and to the Don Valley Parkway. Now this neighborhood, like I said, is very family friendly. It's predominantly detached homes. There's some semis, there's some townhomes. There's a few condos and lofts in the southwest portion of the neighborhood, but the majority of this neighborhood is single family or townhome, and it's a neighborhood that was designed a while ago before the advent of cars. So there's a lot of narrow streets, a lot of one-way streets. We have laneway parking in the back of the homes, so you don't see garages in the front. It makes for slower car driving, a lot more pedestrian-friendly streets, a lot more bike lanes. It's a really quite a sought after neighborhood for a lot of reasons. Now for this neighborhood, we have filmed a companion vlog tour where we actually visited the neighborhood, took a look at the site, took a look at the sounds, and then kind of took a look at some of the real estate as well. So if you want to visit, view that video, feel free to click this link right up over here and you can get to know Riverdale in detail. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just showcase a couple of key elements about Riverdale. One really popular destination in Riverdale is Riverdale Park East. It has one of the best city skyline views of Toronto. Great sunsets, some tobogganing in the winter as well. Here's a nice skyline shot. There's some tobogganing shots. Not many people know about this park. It's really kind of a local hidden gem because it's a little bit off the beaten trail. Then in the north of the neighborhood along Danforth, you have the city's Greek town, a really popular destination, great food, some not just Greek food, they have sushi, they have Chinese, there's a little bit of everything, but of course, amazing Greek food in the Danforth. A couple of places I would recommend visiting. One, Mezes, one of my favorite places. They just opened a new location. It's a great authentic Greek place to visit. There's also Athens Taverna, closer to Pape, over here. It's hiding, but I'll type it up for us. This restaurant is an amazing restaurant. If you're ever in town, you got to check out Athens Taverna. They have a special arrangement where they have specials of the day, and you could actually go into the back of the restaurant, check out the kitchen, and pick the specials right in front of the chef, which is a really nice feature to have So that's the northern side of the neighborhood, and then along Girard here we have the city's second largest Chinatown, with lots of specialty shops, grocery stores, restaurants, etc. So you have that over here, and then you also have Queen Street, which is a very kind of eclectic part of the city. Some great venues for performances, great restaurants. Nice hotel, the Broadview Hotel, which is a very historic place to visit. Great coffee shops as well. So there's a lot going on Queen Street here. Here's the Broadview Hotel and Mansion. Great place for brunch. Nice hotel to stay in as well. It's been renovated, of course, but it is a heritage building with a lot of historic elements to it. And there's a really good venue hall as well over here. I believe it's over here. There, the Opera House. Great place for a live show. It's been around for quite some time. Very popular venue. So that gives you a quick snapshot of really what this neighborhood is about. There's a lot of great schools in this neighborhood as well. A lot of the kids actually walk to school because it's just a safe place and the cars don't travel so fast. So parents let their kids go that way. But again, that is a quick snapshot of this neighborhood. There are some professionals here as well, but not too young professionals, from my opinion. I think it's a better family-oriented neighborhood. So that wraps up Riverdale. Next up on our tour of the most popular neighborhoods in Toronto is Yonge and Eglinton. Yonge and Eglinton is located in Midtown Toronto at the intersection of Yonge and Eglinton, of course. Now this intersection is transit hub. There's two major subway lines that intersect at Yonge and Eglinton. We have the North and South Yonge line over here, which is one of the busiest lines in the city. And then we have the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, which is a new subway line that's just being developed. It actually hasn't opened yet. It hopefully will soon, fingers crossed. But the East and West Eglinton line right over here will eventually be able to take you to the airport, which is in Mississauga. It's quite a convenient thing to have because the airport in Toronto is quite far away. It's actually in a different city in Mississauga, like I mentioned, and it could be quite a scramble to get to, especially during rush hour. So having that flexibility is a very nice thing to have right at your doorstep without having to pay for an Uber $60 or $70. So Yonge and Eglinton itself has been quite developed over the years. It used to be a very kind of low-rise neighborhood with a lot of smaller detached and semi-detached homes. But the condo boom really affected Yonge and Eglinton in a profound way. There's a lot of new buildings. This is a brand new one right over here. This is right at the intersection of Yonge and Eglinton. Over here we have a shopping mall with everything you would need: grocery store, convenience store, movie theaters. Over here, this new condo, like I mentioned, has two separate towers in it called e-condos. This little red piece sticking out is actually a swimming pool that's been designed in the middle of the building to protrude a little bit. But the area has a lot of great areas to go for food, for dinner, for entertainment at night, some bars. But it also has single detached homes because that's kind of the past of the neighborhood. So if you're looking to rent a house or purchase a house, you would find a lot of them in these kind of side streets over here, right? And then specifically if you're moving with a family or a lot of kind of people want to split a house, you can do that in this neighborhood. But if you are moving by yourself, you're a young professional, you just want a small condo, there are many options along Yonge Street. There's some along Mount Pleasant, and there's some along Eglinton. There's some newer condos. There's a bit more dated condos that are a bit larger. So you have a good variety of product to choose from at Yonge and Eglinton. And then there's also a lot of employers right here in Yonge and Eglinton. I know Facebook used to have an office here. A lot of bigger firms, a lot of accounting firms, law firms. They also have offices here. And it's pretty accessible by the highway too. If you were driving in and out of the city, you can get to the Don Valley Parkway pretty quickly. Eglinton goes straight to the DVP, which is right over here, or you can go to Allen Road, which goes to the 401. So lots of different options for you at Yonge and Eglinton, which is in Midtown Toronto. The next neighborhood on this list is for you young professionals. If you're moving to Toronto without kids, without a big family, maybe it's just you by yourself, you want to really be in the hustle and bustle in the middle of the city where all the other young professionals are. So the neighborhood we're going to look at is just for you, and that's King West. So King West is a pretty sprawled out neighborhood. It really starts west of Yonge Street, and it's centered around King, right? But it goes up to around Richmond, kind of continues around Bathurst, kind of comes down over here to the train tracks, circles back to Yonge. So this encompasses a little bit of the financial district over here. It encompasses a lot of the major landmarks in Toronto. You have the CN Tower over here, the Rogers Centre right next door, Ripley's Aquarium right over here, the Hockey Hall of Fame is right over here. And then along King Street, there's TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, takes place right here in September. Major destination, 2 weeks in September, the whole city closes down. And then you have a lot of bars, restaurants. Some of the best restaurants in the city are here along King Street. We had the Michelin Star Guide come through recently and gave these restaurants all kind of really good rankings. You could check that out by the link I'm going to share right over here for the Michelin Star Guide. But you also have lots of different options in terms of housing. Not many houses. Actually, this is a very predominantly high-rise condominium neighborhood, specifically the pocket between Spadina and University over here. These are all high-rise towers. We're talking 40, 50, 60 stories tall, usually built within the last 10 years. We can jump into Street View quickly and take a little look. It's actually the first neighborhood I used to live when I first moved downtown. You can see some of them are under construction. This building is actually already finished. That's 357 King Street. There's a Toronto streetcar, very famous landmark. It's gone now. So you have a quick snapshot of what life is like over here. Oh, look, the building's finished, 357 King. You move a little bit and it's finished. So you move up and down, you see a lot going on. There's the Sky Dome in the distance. That's where the Blue Jays play. And when the Blue Jays do play, that's a good side note. This area is rammed when the games start or finished. When I used to live here, I would live around the schedule of the Blue Jays because driving in or out of this neighborhood is damn near impossible when they're playing. But if you want something a bit more mid-rise, you're looking for a 10, 15-story building. You don't want the super tall buildings. King West has got you covered in that department as well. If you go west of Spadina, between Adelaide and Bathurst and down to Front Street, this little pocket, there's a height restriction. You can't go to those tall 40, 50-story towers. Around 15 floors is the max. Several buildings are 10 stories. There's actually some unique loft buildings over here on Camden Street. Waterworks is right here, really great building with an excellent food hall. Food's a big part of my life, so I think if that's important for you, you should definitely check it out. Now, if you are coming to this neighborhood, a couple of excellent restaurants I would recommend. Wilbur Mexicana, my go-to place for a great taco or a great burrito. It's a quick place, lunch or a quick meal could be had at Wilbur Mexicana. If you're looking for something a little bit fancier, a little bit more sit-down, Gusto 101, very great Italian spot. Highly recommended, great pizza, really nice rooftop patio, great pasta, spadina. Lots of different options here. It does get busy on the weekends, of course, so do a lot of the restaurants. I can keep going with restaurants in this neighborhood, but there's also a vlog tour I put together of this neighborhood. Check that out so you can get a bit more details. We went on the ground, we toured some of the different spaces, some of the condos, and really got to know this neighborhood. Click right over here if you want to check out the vlog tour of King West. Time for our fourth neighborhood, and this one's going to be on the west side of town. We checked out a neighborhood on the east, in the north, and a central neighborhood right in the downtown core. Next one, like I said, is on the west side of town, and this one's going to be very family friendly as well, one of the top family friendly neighborhoods in town. And that neighborhood is known as Roncesvalles, or Roncy for short. Let's take a look at this neighborhood over here. So we're on the west side of town now. You can see in terms of perspective to the downtown core. This is downtown core financial district, so around 10-15 minute drive from over there. Now the neighborhood does extend a little bit over as well. Technically it goes to Parkside, down to the Gardner, down to Queen Street, and then back up the train tracks and to Dundas. So this neighborhood used to be a little Poland, a little Polish town, and there's a lot of restaurants kind of that still inhabit that vibe. There's some pierogi places, some great Polish sausage places, and then once a year there's a big Polish festival. Everyone goes out into the streets, music bands in the middle of the streets, lots of events for kids, and it's a nice little event for the whole family. But this neighborhood is excellently located to In terms of green space, if you're into green space recycling, you have lots of parks, including the largest park in downtown Toronto, which is High Park. With this park right over here, 399 acres of beautiful outdoor space. There's a lot to do in this park. I made a dedicated video just for this park. You can check that video out over here. In the springtime, there's cherry blossoms, there's a zoo, there's a pond, there's a lot going on. So you can check out that video if you want to learn more about the park. But yeah, Ronce or Roncesvalles, very popular neighborhood for families. It's very safe. It also was designed prior to the advent of cars, so it has those narrow streets. People really love parking in the rear of homes, and leads to a lot of more pedestrian-friendly activities, a lot more biking, a lot more kind of neighborhood activities. And then the main kind of strip in Roncesvalles is Roncesvalles Avenue, which is this 2-kilometer strip running up and down the neighborhood. This is where all the great restaurants are. And if you're looking for like some big box stores, you're not going to find them here. These are all locally owned, locally run mom and pops type restaurants and hardware stores and kid-friendly stores. And I'll show you a couple that I really love. Mabel's Bakery and Specialty Food. Now there's a big bakery scene in this neighborhood. There's a lot of bakeries. Every time I come here, I always go to Mabel's. I get their sourdough bread because it's delicious. They have multiple different types of sourdough breads. This is the section right over here where you find them. There's a walnut sourdough bread, which is amazing. And then jams and preserves and everything else you can imagine. Really great spot to check out. Barbacan is a really good South American restaurant. Very authentic Latin food. Also a place I love to check out. You really can't go wrong with the food in Ronce. I don't know what's going on, but all the restaurants I visited here are excellent, and they're really a destination for people from other parts of the city. Bark Smokehouse is another great, more kind of meat-oriented smoke restaurant. Great smoked meats, of course. There's some great pizzerias going on here as well. The list goes on and on, but it's a really nice street, really worth exploring. If you're in High Park, you want to pop out for a break. Here it is on Street View. It has this really picturesque kind of small town vibe to it. And everyone's very friendly. Like when I was doing my vlog tour, by the way, you can check the vlog tour out by clicking right over here. We visited Ronce, took a look at the real estate, got really into the neighborhood. But when I was doing that vlog tour, a lot of people were just come up and start talking to me, not knowing who I am or what I'm doing, whether I'm a neighborhood resident or just visiting. It's just kind of the style of the neighborhood. Everyone is really open and friendly. So yeah, if you're in town, well, there's Bark. That's how it looks from the street in the beautiful summer day. So definitely a neighborhood worth checking out. Again, if you're moving to Toronto with a family, this is a great spot for you. There's great schools, lots of detached houses, and there's some condos as well over here on Serene, some lofts as well, but not too much. Mostly we're talking about detached houses, semi-detached houses, and townhomes. Next up is a neighborhood set around a Gothic revival castle from the early 1900s. Now this neighborhood is in Midtown Toronto. It's kind of a Toronto hidden gem. And the neighborhood's called Casa Loma, which is named after the famous castle right here in Midtown Toronto. You can see a little snapshot of the castle. We'll get into that more. The neighborhood is around St. Clair Avenue. It's bordered by Avenue Road in the east over here. We have DuPont in the south, and then Bathurst in the west. And that kind of forms a little bit of a pocket. It tucks into Forest Hill as well. Now this neighborhood is a bit more of affluent neighborhood compared to the other ones we've looked at. It's great for families for sure. It's great for young professionals or mature professionals, but you really need to shell out some more cash to be in this pocket. There's lots of detached homes, lots of semi-detached homes, some apartment buildings as well. There are a few condos, but they're mostly centered around St. Clair Avenue over here and DuPont. The center of the neighborhood over here, it's all freehold houses of various types. There's actually some homes with maintenance fees as well. But you have a huge ravine in the neighborhood. Over here is Sir Winston Churchill Park. And there's a lot of elevation change as well. Toronto is mostly flats if you haven't been here before, but this neighborhood actually has some hills. And it leads to some unique backyards. A lot of the backyards are back into this ravine. do have walkout multi-level backyards, which is quite lovely. And then the center point of the entire neighborhood is of course the castle, which is right over here. Let's see if we can bring it up. There's the castle. We can take a look at that over here in the summer months. It's a beautiful castle built by Sir Henry Pellets. Interestingly enough, he went bankrupt 10 years after he built the castle, and the castle was donated to the city of Toronto. It's been owned by the city of Toronto ever since. A lot of weddings are hosted here, various corporate events. Also, it has stunning views of downtown Toronto. There's a great steakhouse in Casa Loma called Blue Blood. If you're in the mood for an excellent steak, you come in the summer months, sit on the patio. Really nice view from there. There's also a lot of different activities happening here. One of my favorite is Halloween haunts. During Halloween, the whole grounds of the castle, inside and outside, are converted to like a beer fest. You can really have a lot of fun here with your friends. And then in the summertime, they have classical music performances in the castle grounds as well, which is a really nice thing to check out. And then in the winter, there's a winter fest with different kind of winter themed events going on throughout the castle. So there's always something going on within this castle, and it's just a beautiful sight to have in the community. Now for this specific neighborhood, we did put together a dedicated vlog tour. So if you want to see what the neighborhood looks like, the homes, the real estate, the castle itself, feel free to visit the neighborhood tour right over here and check it out. Next, we're moving closer to downtown Toronto with the pretty highly sought after neighborhood of the Annex. Now, the Annex is located right over here, located along Avenue Road, Bloor Street, Bathurst, and DuPont. Nice little square neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood is known for its heritage Victorian and Edwardian homes. It has its own architectural style called the Annex. This neighborhood was originally populated by the city's elites, and it's still a pretty elitist neighborhood. Price points are quite elevated here. It's a great area if you can afford to get into it for students, for young professionals, for families. Now, a lot of the central neighborhood over here, mostly detached houses. Some of them are very large houses because they were built 200 years ago in some cases, but there also are a lot of condominiums along Avenue Road, some along Bloor Street, some along Bathurst. Really kind of the perimeter of this neighborhood has some condos and some apartment buildings. The neighborhood's great if you're a student because you're right across the street from the U of T campus. Right over here, University of Toronto. It's a really sprawled out campus. It does intersect into the Annex because a lot of the fraternities and sororities have their frat houses right in the Annex. These houses are quite large and they can have some fun parties once in a while. So that might be something, a plus or minus, depending on what you prefer out of life. But the neighborhood is really centrally located. You have 3 different subway stops, Spadina, Bathurst, and Museum Station right over here. It's very easy to get across town. And then you have Yorkville over here with the posh shops, great restaurants, and excellent nightlife in Yorkville just next door. And then you also have the Make Mile along Bloor Street here with the high-end shops, the Chanels, the Gucci's of the world. They're all at your doorstep right over here. So you really have a lot going for it. A lot of people love living in the Annex. Along Bloor Street over here, there's some great restaurants, great shops. Also, the neighborhood does get a touch busy. When we were doing our vlog tour, walking through the neighborhood, there's pedestrians everywhere. It's a really kind of interconnected neighborhood. By the way, if you do want to check out the vlog tour, really get to know the neighborhood more in depth, be sure to click here and check out the vlog tour we filmed earlier in the fall. It was a beautiful day, lots of orange and yellow and green leaves falling. So definitely something to check out. But that's a quick snapshot of what the Annex is. You've made it to the end of the video. You're probably wondering which neighborhood Vogue magazine ranked as the #2 coolest neighborhood in the entire world. And that neighborhood would have to be West Queen West. One of my favorite neighborhoods in town, a great place to go out for a nice dinner or just a nice day on the town walking and shopping. It has a lot of great fashion brands as well. So this neighborhood is located on the west side of downtown Toronto. West Queen West, centered around Queen Street, of course. Right over here is Queen Street. The neighborhood spans the railway lines down over here, hits Bathurst, up to around the Dundas points, and then across over here. So that kind of encompasses West Queen West. Now, like I said, Queen Street is the main focal point. There's also Ossington, which is a big hidden gem in the city of Toronto. It's a street full of restaurants. Every restaurant is a different ethnicity, which is really kind of quintessential Toronto. Ossington's a street I love to visit, just to check out what new restaurants have popped up. Now, if you're ever in this neighborhood, one of my all-time favorite places to go, and it's not necessarily for food, is Bang Bang Ice Cream. This is a really cool ice cream shop. They make their own ice cream. It always has a lineup because the ice cream flavors are that amazing. They make their own cookies as well, and they make a really great cookie ice cream sandwich. But I digress into my sweet tooth. There's a lot of other great stuff to check out here. Bellwoods Brewery, they brew their own beer. Great restaurant, great place for a night out. Lots of delicious food, a really excellent patio as well. Totally check that out if it's your first time in town. Let's see what else is worth visiting. There's really so much over here. And, it's always changing. Pizza Libretto, if you're looking for a great pizza place, they've actually started selling their pizza in a lot of grocery stores, frozen, obviously. But this is the original location, Pizza Libretto. Excellent pizza spots. Checked out a new place over here right at the corner of Ossington and Dundas recently called the Haifa Room. This is like an Israeli, northern Israeli restaurant with some very delicious dishes. Small shakshuka, one of my favorite dishes, this tomato egg dish. Very small place, great view of the city. Definitely check out Haifa Room if you're in town. But then the majority of the other destinations are along Queen Street, right over here. There's a few really great places to check out if you're visiting. The Drake Hotel would be one place, much more than just a hotel. There are several restaurants in the Drake. One of them turns into a nightclub at nights. Great venue as well for weddings, corporate functions, and just do not be confused. Drake the artist does not own the Drake Hotel. This hotel was around way before Drake became famous. Little Toronto piece that I got to squeeze in there. But yeah, Queen Street over here on a Saturday night, full of people walking on both sides, really full of hustle and bustle. Here we can see some of the streetscape. You have these kind of older town looking homes that have been renovated. This is a great thing to keep in mind too. In the summer months, there's a new pilot program which takes away some of the street, converts it into patio space for the restaurants. So that's always nice to see, is some additional patio space. They do some kind of greenery and make it look great as well. And then this is a really cool restaurant as well. It's called Bar Poet. It used to be a church. You can still see the cross right over here from its previous life as a church. But it gets pretty happening as well on the weekends. It has a nice patio over here too. So a lot of different places to check out if you're ever in Queen West, and you can see some cool accommodations. Also, there's lots of different variety of accommodations here. We have single detached, semi-detached townhouses are pretty common as well. And then there's some interesting condos. This is one of the newer ones over here, built by a pretty reputable builder. There is a height restriction in effect in Queen West, so you don't get those high-rise towers, depending how you feel on them. But really 10, 15 stories would be the tallest type of tower you would see in Queen West. So it kind of creates a much more comfortable neighborhood. A small side story about Ossington. Recently, I was going downtown for a night out. Wanted to visit Ossington because it's a great place to hang out. I walk onto Ossington. The whole street is blocked off to vehicle travel, and it's basically a concert in a club right in the middle of the street. So I had no clue this was going to happen, but it does take place once a year. It's called Ozfest, and it's really quite a nice event if you're looking for a nice night out in the summer months. Ozfest is a good thing to check out. And then in terms of parks, we have a huge park over here called Trinity Bellwoods. Big destination for Toronto people in the summertime. Lots of people like to bring their dogs, lots of playgrounds. There's some cherry blossoms in the springtime. People love to catch a beer, and the view of the CN Tower in the park. You can see it does get quite busy. Sometimes it's actually hard to find space in Trinity Bellwoods because there's not a lot of actual parks in downtown Toronto. There's plenty of parks like on the outskirts of the city, but in really the downtown core, Trinity Bellwoods is one of the bigger parks that's possible. Because Hyde Park, which we featured earlier, is still downtown, but it's on the west side of downtown. But within the core, Trinity Bellwoods, it's quite the big destination. There you have it, the top 7 most popular neighborhoods in the city of Toronto. Now, if you are planning a move down to the city, my hope is this video gave you some context, gave you some tidbits, gave you some info as to where to start your search prior to making the move down to the city. Now, if there was a favorite neighborhood that stood out for you, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Moving forward, we're putting out a video a week about everything to do with life in Toronto, including neighborhood guides, property tours, and real estate tips. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be the first to be notified once a new video is released. That's it for today. We'll see you on the next one.